in Assisi with all the religious leaders, and there were over 300 religious leaders at that meeting in Assisi, and they all came. Pope John Paul II invited the religious leaders to come, and there he chose Assisi because of St. Francis's charism, his spirituality, and he declared in 1990 he was declared patron of ecology. Ecology means, you understand, no? The environment, all of creation. He was named patron of ecology, St. Francis, right? So that is St. Francis. I'll just say a few words about St. Clare. Yesterday we were saying that, there is the film, any films made on Francis, sometimes they sort of try to romanticize the relationship with St. Clare. But it wasn't really, there was no romance between them. But definitely they were very friendly, even though they were of two different social classes. St. Clare, she was very young. She was, according to historians, she was 11 years younger than St. Francis. And still from her young age, there was something very special about her, very special. It could be her mother. Her mother was very good, her parents, but the father was angry when she entered. When she ran away, they couldn't get her back. Then I told you yesterday, her sister followed St. Clare, St. Agnes, if you remember. And she too ran away and joined St. Clare. So, her sister, the father went with the uncle, with a few people, to bring her back, bring St. Agnes back by force. They knew St. Clare, they'll never be able to get her. They went there, and St. Agnes was a young girl, a small child, and all these hefty men came in. They couldn't carry her. She was so heavy, she became so heavy, historians tell us that they couldn't carry her and put her on the horse. The miracle God worked so that St. Agnes cannot be brought back home. So she remained with St. Clare. That's just, as part by how St. Clare joined St. Agnes. Then I told you yesterday how St. Francis took her to a Benedictine monastery because he didn't know where to put her when she ran away from home. But from there he brought, when she did not want to stay there, when she saw their lifestyle, she knew that was not her understanding of religious life. So St. Francis had to bring her to St. Damiano, St. Damian's church, where the crucifix spoke to her. So that's where St. Clare lived till she died. When you go to Assisi one day, Leon, you'll see the monastery where St. Clare lived and died. And they also allowed us to go into the monastery. She was bedridden for 18 years. Bedridden. But she persevered at that time. She suffered a lot, physically and mentally, because after St. Francis's death, St. Francis died 18 years earlier before her. His own friars means his own brothers who were very fond of him, they realized that St. Francis' understanding of poverty was too much for them to live. St. Francis was a radical, his understanding of poverty and simplicity. So they tried to change the rule. His own brothers, his own community. But St. Clare fought for it. She did not let them, even though she was a woman in the monastery enclosed, she did not allow them to touch the rule. So St. Clare was a strong woman. And I told you yesterday how she asked the Pope special permission to practice the privilege of poverty. That is radical poverty, and that she didn't accept anyone who wanted to enter her monastery. She did not allow them to come with the dowry or with the maids, but God looked after them.
Tough woman.
Pardon?
Tough woman.
Tough woman. Come, sister. Thank you, Sister Jacinta. He ate all the green gram I brought for him.
Thank
Thank you very much, sister. Thank you. This so St. Clair was a person of that time, and what is interesting also about St. Clair, there are a few incidents from her life. Another very interesting incident from her life, beautiful incident was that time you had people like terrorists. They were also Saracens, I think, who were anti-Catholic. They wanted to destroy St. Clair's monastery. They wanted to destroy her monastery, San Damiano, or St. Damian's in English. So suddenly she was told that they have entered Assisi, the Saracens, and that they were coming towards her monastery. So she knew at once why they wanted. They were coming to destroy the whole monastery, the whole convent. So she was desperate, and the sisters in her community all panicked, naturally. She remained calm. She ran to the chapel. She took the Blessed Sacrament, the Eucharist. She ran to the balcony. Some say the monstrance. They put up pictures of her with the monstrance. Others say that she took only the host. Whatever it is, she ran to the front balcony, and from there she did like this way to the Saracens. Now, they are anti-Catholic. They were come to destroy her convent. And her biographers, the history, they say that they turned round and went away. So the convent was saved, the sisters were saved. So there are stories like that, and also how she quietly, when they also were depending on begging. They had no other income. So when people brought food, or when the friars, when I say friars, it means St. Francis and his brothers. When they got food, extra food, or when they begged and they got food, they came and gave the nuns. So that is how the St. Clair and her sisters ate. But with that food that they got from the friars, she also used to slowly go out and give the lepers. What Francis did, she also did. So there are stories about St. Clair. Then after living 14 years in that community, she wanted to write her own rule for the community. First time they were beginning, they were called the poor class. Poor class. Till today they are known. You know that in Tevata. Have you heard about them? The poor class. They are in Tevata. There are monasteries there. They have one monastery in Bandaravela. They have two monasteries. But they are always, if at all, I phone up there, his mother Claire. Her name is also Claire. And she always says that to pray, they don't get vocations. They are desperate. Nowadays, the young girls, they don't join the enclosed order like before. Anyway, they are going through a hard time, but they have about 22 sisters in their community. So, St. Clair, till then, she followed the rule of St. Francis, which was based for earlier on the rule of the Benedictine sisters, because that's the only women monastery they had. But she wanted to write her own rule. Her rule. After living 12 years, I think, or 14 years in the monastery, she writes her own rule. Her own rule for her monastery. And she sent it to the Pope, saying she wants that approved by him before she dies. Now, she was bedridden, but she wrote that rule, and she was bedridden, and she wanted that approved by the Pope. And we are told in her history, in her life history, she died on the 11th of August, right? On the 10th of August, she gets the brothers come and hand over to the community the Pope approved by the Pope, the rule approved by the Pope. So she takes it. Now she's in bed, lying on bed.
All of the rules.
On the floor. Pardon?
Is it only one rule?
one rule, the rule of for her monastery which she wrote, a rule. Like we would say our constitutions, we have the rule.
What?
So she looked at it, it did not have the Pope's seal, the papal bull, the seal that it was approved by him. You know, she is an extraordinary woman. She sent it back to the Pope, right? Through the friars saying, tell the Pope I want his seal so that no one can touch it after I die. Because St. Francis's rule, the brothers wanted to change. So he said, I take it back and I want the letter with his signature to say that and his seal. The Pope did it. The Pope did it. He put his seal and he sent it back to her, and they are told that the sisters witnessed to it, her own sisters in the community, that she took the rule in the hand and then she kept it on her chest like this and she passed away. She died at that moment. So she died peacefully, knowing that her rule was approved. So, you know, there are beautiful stories of her, and in her case, soon, within 2 months, the Pope himself who knew her, because he knew how authentic she was, how good she was, and there were miracles during her time also. There were miracles worked during her time. The Pope knew that she was a holy woman. He started the process of canonization, and within 2 years she was canonized. And her body is still intact. When you go to Assisi, you go to the Basilica of Santa Chiara. In Italian, Saint Clare is written Santa Chiara. Chiara. We say in English Saint Clare. Chiara. Her body is intact. So it's proof that she is a great lady, great saint. So we all pray to her because she was the first Franciscan woman. There was a book written Leon, the one sister, another Franciscan sister of the Third Order, another congregation. She did her doctoral thesis on St. Clare. And the title of the book, the thesis, which is now printed, The First Franciscan Woman. Right? So that is the life of St. Clare. There are many other things, but just to give you an idea. So today we pray to St. Francis and St. Clare, because St. Francis consulted St. Clare for big decisions. St. Clare consulted St. Francis. Both of them, even though Clare was in a monastery, Francis sent his brothers or came himself and consulted Clare. Right. So now I come back to St. Francis. When she died, when she was canonized, I don't know whether you know the procedure, Leon. When a person is canonized, for you also when you are canonized, they will first get people who know you, come and witness, first stand, witnessing. Only then there is what is called the devil's advocate. People who will come and say things against you to work against your canonization. That's the procedure in the Vatican. So St. Clare, 13 of her sisters in the community who knew her. 2 years later, no, she was canonized, not like today's saints. You will get cold. Today's saints, they are canonized 100, 200 years later. But St. Clare, within 2 years, she was canonized. So her sisters were all living, the sisters of the community. So 13 sisters were called to the Vatican to give a witness, but they knew about St. Clare. Because all that counts, no, otherwise they were just canonized. I wish you can read the 13 witnesses, but they had to say about St. Clare. She was their abbess. Abbess means their superior. In a monastery, we call them abbess. The superior is called abbess. We say superior, but in a monastery they are called abbess. They lived with her 13 years. So they saw her beautiful about her sisterly love. how she looked after them when they were sick, how she washed their feet, how she herself was a sick person. And when she was bedridden, how patient, how kind, how grateful she was. Beautiful things they have told about her, St. Clare. So we call her St. Clare of Assisi, and her feast is August 11th. St. Francis's feast is October 4th. That's the day we invited you all for breakfast. You remember? It's October 4th. St. Clare is August 11th. I want to say another incident from St. Francis's life, which is very important. You want to put that away? Okay, just St. Francis's life. He was, he wanted, he had heard that the Catholics were being martyred in Morocco. And that's the time they had the Saracens, the Crusades, and all those things were happening. So one day he decided to go there because he wanted to die a martyr. He wanted to die a martyr, to be killed by the Saracens, by the Muslims. So many of his brothers didn't encourage him. They told him, don't go, from the Franciscan brothers. So he went and consulted St. Clare, and St. Clare told him, go, I give you my blessing. So he went with a few other friars, but he went, and then of course he was sure now he will be killed as soon as he arrives in that country. But the king, the Sultan, we call him the Sultan, he was like the king, the leader of that group, the Muslims. So the Sultan wanted to see him because he had heard about this man. So he went into the Sultan's presence. When he walked in, the Sultan knew that he was not like the other Catholics who fought and killed the Muslims. Because Francis was very humble. So when Francis walked in, the Sultan looked at him and saw a very humble man, dressed, as I told you, in a brown cassock, all mended, right? I don't know whether he had slippers, I don't know. That detail I don't know. He walked into the Sultan's presence and he just didn't even raise his head, it seems, according to historians. He had such a humble appearance that the Sultan was touched by him. And the Sultan started asking him certain questions, and St. Francis answered always very simply and humbly. It seems the Sultan was so touched by Francis, he gave orders not to kill him and not to touch him. And he became so interested in what St. Francis was telling about God, about his religion, the Catholic religion, about Jesus Christ. The Sultan kept him there and kept on asking him to speak more and more about Jesus Christ, about his God. I don't know if this is true. Recently I read that the Sultan also changed his whole life after that and became a Catholic. That I don't believe. The head of the Muslims, that I think is a made up story. But that he changed his whole attitude towards the Catholics after meeting Francis, that is true. Because he realized that the Catholics were behaving in this way because of their own mistake, being extremists, like all religions. We have people who are extremists, isn't it? Like the Muslims who put the bomb in Tata, Kochigari, and the whole, there's extremists. All Muslims are not like that. No? So it's always the extremists. So St. Francis touched the heart and touched the whole life of the Sultan. Right? Very recently, the church celebrated 800 years of the Pope, of Francis's visit to the Sultan. This came, the Franciscan order published it, that is 800 years. So anyway, to give you an idea of St. Francis's life, and then towards the end, Leon, he becomes blind. He becomes blind. He suffered I'll tell you about the stigmata. St. Francis was the first saint who received, you know what the stigmata are? The 5 wounds of Jesus on his body. St. Francis always wanted to be just like Jesus. So in his prayers he used to say, I want to be just like you, Jesus Christ. I don't mind suffering any amount the way you suffered during your passion. I too want to suffer that way. So he suffered a lot. He had all types of illnesses. But the worst thing was when he became blind. Before he became blind. And because he wanted to be just like Jesus, he had the privilege of receiving the stigmata. We are told that there is a place called Mount Alverna. Mount Alverna. It is close to Assisi. So Francis once went there for a 40-day retreat. Francis made thrice a year 40-day retreats. We do 7 days for 1 year, but Francis made 40-day retreats thrice a year. So Francis went up to Mount Alverna on one occasion, and he was making his retreat, praying, and the exact date is September 17th. September 17th, one day when he was praying on Mount Alverna, when he was making his retreat, suddenly he felt a stinging pain, and he got the wounds on his hands, his 2 legs, and on the side, and he was bleeding, and he remained there. It was terrible, very painful it seems. Anyway, his brothers did not go to Alverna because they knew that he was making the retreat. But eventually, when they went up, they found Francis in this condition, bleeding from the 5 wounds. So they bring him down, and they look after him, they dress his wounds that time, but they have by way of dressing. I don't know what they did, how they washed the wounds. But he lived with those 5 wounds. I can't remember exactly how. Pardon?
Had he starved? Had he starved? Had he starved?
Starved?
No food or drink?
During the retreat, no. During the retreat, I think 40 days of fasting. I don't know, the Mount Alverna, what food can he get unless his brothers took some food for him every day. Those details I don't know, Leon. But can he stay 40 days without eating? No. Now his brothers may have taken something. So then he's brought down from Mount Alverna. When you go to Assisi one day, you must go to Mount Alverna. It's a little far, but you will have buses possibilities. And just pray at the foot of Mount Alverna. It's a privilege, it's a grace. So then, as the last days approached, he becomes blind. At that time also, what eye operations would they do? At that time, we are told that they tried to do some treatment, but without any anesthetic, and he suffered a lot. But he became blind. Then he was, that time in the Porticula. I told you it's that small church, a tiny chapel, right? Given to him, I think, by the Benedictine friars at that time. Anyway, that small chapel, he was not there in the chapel, in the countryside, where he was living with his brothers. So then, he asked to be brought to the Porticula, to Assisi. He was asked to be brought. Anyway, he realized he was going to die. Yes, he was not in Porticula. He was somewhere else. Then he asked his friars to carry him, because he couldn't walk anymore, to the Porticula, that he wanted to die there. That's where he first had a vision of a lady with the angels. the Porciuncula. So till today, in the small chapel in the Porciuncula, you have the painting of Our Lady with the angels. That's where he first had that vision. And
One angel.
pardon?
With one angel.
No, many angels around Mary, and that's where he heard the words also. He asked Jesus, no, what to do, that he has to give up everything, and that, that was exactly what Jesus told his disciples when he sent them out, and how, so that is where he began his life of radical poverty. So he asked to be carried to that place. So he wanted to die there. So that spot till today, it's all enclosed, and it's written there. There is a board like this way to say Saint Francis died here, and the year is given. That spot there he died. So they carried him there. Then he told his brothers, I came into the world naked, and I don't want to take anything from this world. Strip me naked. And they stripped him naked. He lay on the floor. Then they covered him and sent a message to Saint Clare, saying that he is dead. So Saint Clare immediately leaves her monastery and she comes. And she comes with a few sisters according to the film. And everyone is desolate. Can you imagine the mourning? Anyway, he also was canonized within a short time. But he was so humble, Leon, very humble. He was a brother, a lay person. And he refused. Of course, those who joined him became priests. They were ordained priests. Today we have a big number of Franciscan priests in the whole world, the biggest number, the Franciscans. He refused to be ordained. You know why he refused to be ordained? He said that imagine, he's such a sinner, he doesn't feel worthy to consecrate the host. He said, I am not worthy to consecrate the host and hold the body and blood of Jesus in my hands. So he refused to be ordained. Till the day he died, he was an ordinary lay brother. To that point he was humble. And he was so humble, his body is not incorrupt. Now St. Clare's body is incorrupt, right? Her face and all, beautiful.
What about St. Agnes?
St. Agnes, that I don't know. I have never seen her body. I have never seen her body. St. Clare's body, yes. In the Basilica of Santa Chiara. But Francis's body, no. So his bones are buried in the basilica, in the crypt. When you go to Assisi, you will see, you have the small Porciuncula, right? And on top of the Porciuncula, I told you, they have built a big basilica. It's called Our Lady of the Angels. Because I told you that it's Our Lady of the Angels. Then a short distance from there, walking distance, you come to Assisi, but you can take a bus also. You come to Assisi, the city of Assisi, right? A short distance. And in Assisi, you have the bones of Saint Francis. Now in Assisi, which is, you will see in the film, a big basilica, you have 3 buildings. You walk into the basilica, right? And it's a huge basilica also. Of course, with time the Franciscans developed it. Everywhere there are Franciscans, So you have the basilica, and then you go down the crypt. Crypt, you understand, right? Crypt, you have the bones. We can't see the bones. It's all covered, but the bones are there, right? Then on top of the basilica, you have another church where you have all the frescoes, paintings of the life of Saint Francis on top, right? So you have 3 layers in the basilica of Saint Francis. That is called the Basilica of Saint Francis. This is called the Basilica of Our Lady of the Angels. They are the two churches, big churches. Then all in Assisi you have Saint Damiano. We have the Basilica of Saint Clare or the Santa Chiara. So you have all that in Assisi. There's lots to see. And you know, Leon, I have a beautiful history for which I thank God. I was in Rome a long time, 24 years to be exact. I was doing a service there in Rome in the Generalate. And so I had many opportunities to go to Assisi, many opportunities. And I never got tired of going to Assisi. But what I noticed in Assisi, Leon, that each time I went to Assisi, always there are people. It's not only during summer. Or during summer it's normal that there are many tourists. There is a joke in Rome. It's a joke that if you go to Rome in summer, you will only see tourists and dogs. Because all the Romans leave Rome because it's very, very hot. It gets very hot in Rome, unbearable heat, even for us, unbearable. But, so that's a joke. If you go to Rome during summer, you will only see the dogs and the tourists. Plenty of tourists come to Italy. Of course, Italy, you have all those beautiful museums, paintings, and the Vatican, everything in Italy and attractive. So these people, but when I used to go to Assisi, any time of the year, there are people in that basilica. I used to go and spend hours in the crypt, where the bones of Francis had to go to the crypt. And the type of people who come there, all kinds of tourists. I have seen Hindu priests with that thing, so I know they are Hindus. I have seen Muslims all covered. I have seen Buddhist priests in the Basilica of St. Francis. What brings them there? What brings them there, Leon?
What are they praying for?
For me, that remains a mystery. The people I have seen in that basilica, right? So it's something, and who was he? The poorest person. Poorest person, simple person, humble person. How did he become world famous? And any tourist who goes to Italy will not leave Italy without going to Assisi. And then there's another beautiful thing in the basilica, right? In the basilica of, is this in the Porciuncula or in Assisi? In the Porciuncula. In that basilica of Our Lady of the Angels. In that basilica, there is in one of the corridors, there is a big statue of Saint Francis. A big statue, right? In a niche, right? In the basilica of in the Porciuncula that you see this. And he's holding like a basket. But in that basket, thank you. Thank you very much. This, the basilica, in that basilica there is a big statue of St. Francis in the niche, holding a basket. St. Francis, always in that basket you will see 1 or 2 live pigeons. Always, every time I have been there, I have never seen whether it is winter, spring, autumn, summer, that basket without the pigeons. I suppose, just to tell you the story of St. Francis and the pigeons, he couldn't bear to see people treating, because he loved creation, treating pigeons badly. So it is said that once he met a boy selling pigeons in a cage. So he went to that boy and he told that boy to let loose those pigeons. The boy was angry because that was his business. That was how he was living. Somehow or another, he made that boy release the pigeons. Right? To that point, he couldn't bear to see pigeons in a cage. So, the linking historians link that with his love for pigeons. Always you will find 2 pigeons or even 1 pigeon in that basket. Live pigeons. There's another story here, it's a beautiful story, again which is true. We are told that St. Francis, there was a moment in his life when he had terrible temptations against chastity. Terrible temptations. And he felt he couldn't live anymore like that. So one day he was so tempted against chastity, the temptation of the flesh. What did he do? He stripped himself naked, and there were some rose bushes there. Rose bushes normally have thorns, right? Rose bushes. It seems he went there and he lay on the thorn bushes and he rolled himself on the thorn bushes to feel the pain of the thorns so that his temptation will go away. So to that point, he fought against his natural inclinations. And we are told that till today that is true. In that region where you have these rose bushes, today those rose bushes have no thorns. They have no thorns. So, they distribute those the leaves. And till today, I have brought those to the general aid and to Sri Lanka. Those leaves have red dots to show that they were the dots of St. Francis' blood because he rolled on them. So those leaves, you should see those leaves till I went. Now that was a long time ago. I came back to Sri Lanka 2002. I haven't been back there, so I don't know. But when I was there were those leaves with red dots. They were of course nicely barricaded. No one can go into that little enclosure. And those leaves, those rose bushes have no thorns till today. So there are beautiful things that prove that St. Francis was an extraordinary person. Extraordinary person, not because he was a great man, a rich man, but because of his simplicity, humility, his goodness to people and to whole of God's creation. So that's the story of St. Francis. I have told you the essentials. Anyway, I'll just tell you the story of I'll give you this, maybe one day, not now, I'll give you this book later today. Once a poor couple asked St. Francis, so lay people, a poor couple, how they could live in a more perfect way. Then Francis replies, it is enough for you to observe the Holy Gospel in the state to which the Lord has called you. You are a couple. You live the Gospel of Jesus Christ as lay people, as a couple. And then Francis answered this way, quite simply. But the couple, expecting a more precise answer, they wanted something more. The man asked how they were to put that into practice, how to live the Gospel. Then Francis gave the following examples from the Gospel. The Lord tells you, let the greatest among you become the least, and let the head as the one who serves. To behave like the least, make yourself the servant of all the others. The head of the family should be the servant of all. You should take care of your family with much kindness, with patience and humility. You should caution and support the errant one with gentleness. That is what it means to live according to the Holy Gospel. He tells that to a couple. Another example, continued St. Francis, telling this couple, is when the Lord said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Francis was then asked, "What is it to be poor in spirit?" The couple asked him. "The one whose spirit is truly poor denies himself or herself and cherishes those who strike him, who strike her on the cheek." In the gospel, everything is connected. You cannot truly possess one evangelical virtue without possessing all the others. Nor can you offend one person without offending all of them, and thereby losing all. It is not possible to be truly poor according to the gospel without being truly humble. Anyway, there are a few other things later on you can read. So everything also what is important, Leon, is the Word of God. Yesterday you told me that you are teaching catechism to children. I was very happy, which means you are familiar with the gospel. It's not, you are not just namesake Catholic. There is something more in your life and in your family, I can see it. Thank God for that. So I'm sure you know the Bible, you know the gospel of Jesus Christ. So that's another very important aspect for a lay FMM. That you are familiar with the gospel, so that you can live the gospel. I will begin, if you don't mind. Okay, before I continue. Anything you want to say or ask? Anything you want to say that strikes you about St. Francis? I want to hear you, to see how much you are able to. Anything that you like to share? Anything that strikes you? Yes, about St. Francis. Nothing? Nothing strikes you? Say, Leon, feel free. Or anything you want to ask, anything you want to say something about St. Francis.
It's good to know these things. It's great, and I learned them. Great to learn these things. Very interesting.
Anyway, I want you to sort of reflect, meditate on the life of St. Francis.
Yes, I want to.
And why did God call you to this vocation? For me, it's a vocation.
Sure.
To be a FMM associate. It's a vocation. How did it happen that you came to this church, that you met us, and that I was inspired to ask you to join us? What is the reason? God, for me, I see God's hand very clearly.
Always.
I don't know whether you see God's hand in this. Isn't it? I know for you it's extra work, getting up early, coming here, and but anyway, thank God you're complying with God's plan for you. Isn't
Always,
it?
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And not only now, Leon, even later on in life when you get married, that you live this life. Later on, I'm sure your family is looking for a good girl for you. Are they looking for someone for you? Or are you supposed to find the girl?
Get it one.
They are looking for someone. Have they found anyone? Yes? Really?
Yeah.
You have met the girl?
Not one.
You haven't met the girl. You have met the girl? And how is she? You like her?
Yeah.
She's from a good family? I'm happy to know that. So everything is settled. When is that? When is the great day going to be?
We'll meet you someday.
Pardon?
She will come someday.
She will?
Come.
Yeah.
Meet you someday.
Right. She will come to meet me? Okay. From where is she?
From Kaluthara.
Kaluthara? One of your own people? One of your own people? Your people?
No, we didn't know.
Huh?
We didn't know her.
But your family knew her?
Yeah.
But they are your people, I mean, same, what can I say? Same group, same, no.
No. She done that. She's a nurse around.
Pardon?
She's a nurse.
Right.
In a hospital nearby.
Right. In Kaluthara?
No, nearby to us.
Right. So your family had met her?
Yes.
Good. And you like her? Okay, that's the important thing. That's the important thing. If you meet with her and you like her and the family is also good.
Yeah.
You know, if your family has proposed, that means they know the family. Isn't it? They have met, the two families have met. They have met to the family, her family.
Not yet.
Her family has not yet met to. But your parents have met the family.
We have to go there.
Pardon?
We have to meet.
You have to go, right. Right. So we are, when that day comes, Leon, it will be, in my opinion, a beautiful couple. I believe that you will, have a beautiful family, with God's blessings. So we'll just say a few words about Mother Foundress, or maybe we should, it's already nearly 8:25. Anyway, we will begin this tomorrow, Mother Foundress.
Right.
In the meantime, if you like to, you see this, if you have time. Otherwise, you can do it later.
Yeah.
But I would like you to say something about St. Francis tomorrow. Okay? I want you to say something before we begin with Mary of the Passion.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay. And then we will talk about Mary of the Passion. Right? And her vocation and her spirituality. Okay? Right. Now, we'll just finish. You got it? Yesterday, everything recorded? Right. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Blessed Mary of the Passion,
Pray for us.
Saint Francis and
Pray.
Saint Clare,
Pray for us.
and be with Leon
Pray.
as he continues this day with your blessings. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Can you just see